This is Nastya Grishman, a very popular Russian influencer, TikTok star, and OnlyFans model. She's into cars, cute Hello Kitty aesthetics, she likes tattoos, which cover almost 80% of her body by the way, and also she's very active on social media. But around August of 2022, descriptions under her Instagram posts started getting kinda weird, and her name changed from Grishman to Grishman.dead, and that's because her socials were ran by somebody else, while her lifeless body was lying in a bathtub for a week before it was found. The killer was talking to her fans and family, posting on her Instagram and TikTok, pretending to be her, while never even leaving her apartment. The story gets even crazier when you realize that she appeared on a talk show in television, but only a week after it went live, she was murdered. Could this be connected somehow? So who's the mysterious killer? Why did he pretend to be Anastasia by posting on her page and talking to her friends and family? Was he just an obsessed fan? A jealous friend? Or maybe someone with very, very dark intentions? Nastya's childhood wasn't good in any way. Grishman, or by her real name Anastasia Homlovskaya, was born on 7th of February 1996 near Petersburg. Her dad left family right after she was born, so she lived with her mom in one-room apartment. There was no privacy, mom would overwork, drink a lot of alcohol, she would give Anastasia basically zero attention, and overall it was a very toxic environment. The light at the end of the tunnel was a grandma who took care of Nastya when she was like 12, and her mom basically dipped from her life for some time. Anastasia and her grandma found connection with each other pretty quickly, and thanks to her she found interest in education and self-improvement. She finished school as an auto mechanic, learned how to code, wrote books, studied robotics, and so much more. At age of 15 she was making a living from tattooing people, and the money she made she shared with her grandma. She was a good kid. Her friends described Nastya as a loving person with good heart and good morals. However, with childhood toxic like this, she did have some mental problems. Depression, depersonalization, and because her mom was calling her fat all the time, she also had ED.
Show a time when you were skinny but thought you were overweight.
Despite these problems, she still was a big inspiration for everyone around her.
Been struggling with depression myself. Your videos make me feel better.
Got a tattoo from her last week. We'll get another one for sure. I told my parents about us.
She was pretty big on TikTok and Instagram, where some of her videos would get 10 million views.
My child is
Когда собираешь комп, удобно пользоваться ногтями вместо отвертки.
In those TikToks, she would post stuff about computer games, anime, cars, and even more cars. She was really into cars, if you cannot tell. Well, as you probably know, cars aren't really cheap, right? Then where did she get the money? Well, since she was 12, she was making money pretty much by taking coding jobs here and there. Isn't that crazy? What have you been doing when you were 12? I was playing Payday 2, for example. Damn, okay, now I feel like a little piece of trash, not gonna lie. Nastya was always working hard, and so when time came, she was able to open her own tattoo salon, and then money started pouring in. I mean, it made sense. She was very talented, she did all the designs herself, and she loved her job. I mean, look at her. She tattooed herself even. The only place she didn't have tattoos on was her back, because she simply couldn't reach there with her hands. I mean, that's dedication for sure.
Я крайне расстроен, что западная пропаганда делает так, что наши замечательные девушки начинают уродовать себя татуировками, насмотрятся дурацких клипов и начинают подражать. Это очень плохо, девушки.
And if you still have doubts whether Grishman was good with tattoos or not, even goddamn Grimes follows her on Instagram to this day. Look, we are on her page right now. I'm gonna click here. There she is, Grimes with the check mark. And if you don't know who Grimes is, she dated Elon Musk, they broke up, and Elon never got over it, I guess. Okay, I'm joking. I thought it was kind of funny. Whatever. Grimes is a very popular musician. She made that song, Oblivion. I really like the song, but I cannot put it here because I will get copyrighted, sadly. But you all know the song, okay? It's good. And speaking of Oblivion, have you guys played the new remaster yet? Well, I did, and I think it's kind of goated. I spent like 20 hours in it already.
It's you.
Hi.
It's really good. Well, back to Nastya. What I wanted to say is that Nastya was making good money from tattooing people, doing some coding and graphic design on the side. Later, she would also sell courses on how to get good at tattoos, which made her even more money. At this point, just looking at her car collection, there was no doubt this girl was filthy rich. She said if she didn't do anything, she would make $10K a month passively, and when she logged in, it would be like $40K. For Russian standards, that's a lot. While Nastya was super successful financially, everything else wasn't so bright. Her alcohol addict mother would occasionally pop up in her life, tell her she changed for good and that she wants to get back together, but it would always end up badly.
И лет в 17, наверное, я очень захотела наладить контакт с матерью, потому что мне все равно не хватало, я об этом думала. И вот как-то случилась такая ситуация, что она мне звонит и говорит, меня там очередной мужик избил, мне негде жить, приюти, пожалуйста. Я думаю, ну ладно, вот только на месяц. В общем, она жила со мной где-то год. Раньше у нас была очень бедная семья, то есть мы жили в какой-то общаге вчетвером, 13 квадратов и так далее. Когда я жила одна, я уже жила в хорошей квартире, у меня были хорошие вещи, хорошая косметика, хорошая еда. И вот она приехала на все готовое. И, в общем, она максимально неуважительно относилась к моим вещам. Она все брала без спросу, все там трогала, вела себя как ребенок. Когда ты ей предъявляешь какие-то претензии, она просто хихикает, убегает. То есть она ведет себя просто как 12-летняя девочка. Я за ней постоянно следила, там с этим мужиком туда не ходи, тут тебя разводят, сюда деньги не кидай. Вот как-то раз она сорвалась и забухала жестко. Соответственно, я ее выгнала. Оставила ей эту съемную квартиру, сняла себе другую. Говорю, вот тут есть 5 дней, доживай, делай, что хочешь.
Boyfriend-wise, she would always go after some addicts, scumbags, lowlives. She was after bad boys, basically. Which is kind of funny, because Nastya didn't drink nor did any substances. But you know, whatever. And one day, a guy turned up for a tattoo at her salon. His name was Dmitry Chernashov. He's pretty rich, he was a crypto trader or something. We will call him Dima. They chatted for a bit and found out they are both into cars, tattoos, gaming, and anime. They really enjoyed each other's company, so next day they agreed to hang out together, and then again and again. Dima turned out to be a really cool guy, but there was a problem. He was already dating another girl, Rita, and she was jealous, obviously. That makes sense, right? Dima dumps Rita and starts dating Nastya. That's already not a cool start of a relationship. And on top of that, Nastya's friends don't really like that dude. Turns out he already spent some time in jail due to robberies and because he didn't go to army, which is a crime in Russia. Long story short, Nastya kinda doesn't talk to her friends anymore. In fact, she doesn't talk to anyone but Dima. We don't really know what exactly happened at the time, but later it turned out he was pretty manipulative person, so we can assume he basically pressured her into dumping her friends, but that's not for sure. So what do we know so far about Dima? He has a crime record, he cheated on her girl with Nastya, makes good money, but doesn't want Nastya to talk to other people. Well, maybe if she still talked to her friends, they would stop her from making an OF account to upload corn videos with her boyfriend, which he pressured her into making. Now that's kinda wild. They both were making good money, so I see no reason in doing that. I don't know, I think it was just some fetish, I guess, or maybe he wasn't making that good money after all. Who knows? What I mean is, I see no reason to do all this honestly, and to me it's very questionable behavior. However, Nastya says she's okay with it, since she only does it with her boyfriend, so she doesn't see a problem.
Снимаюсь только со своим мужем, мы снимаемся только вдвоем, мы вместе придумываем сценарии, он все пишет, заготавливает, ставит свет, мы придумываем образы, где мы это будем делать.
She says she does it for money, which is wild, since they already were making like 4 million rubles, which at the time was 62 grand USD. And that's like so much for Russia. It's crazy money. Average Russian salary in 2018 was around 670 USD. So you can see how wealthy they were. And we all know this because they later went on a talk show where this whole story was told in front of millions of people. How Nastya makes money and how she's okay with all this. I think the point of the talk show was to first make fun of Nastya, since she does porn, watches anime, and has tats all over her body. And you know, older conservative generation thinks this behavior is wild, especially in Russia. Yeah, so it was like just television stuff basically. But they also brought up Rita, Dima's ex, to tell her part of the story, some old Nastya's friends, and all that because they wanted her to abandon this lifestyle. They thought Dima is pressuring her into making corn videos, that he's not a good person, and you know, they wanted to save her kinda. Since she used to do good in life regardless. She had tattoo salon, dealt and fixed cars, coded on the side. She was doing super well before, and this kinda seemed like a waste of talent and dignity for no reason anyone really. They were scared for Nastya basically. Now I will inject my opinion here real quick. I think when you come from really poor standards, broken family, and you're abused by your own alcoholic mother, it's pretty easy to get driven away by your own success. Because you made it. You thought you're gonna be homeless and sell your body on the street, but here you are making good money. And then a guy comes into your life, takes care of you like nobody did before, you like him, you trust him, and so you don't really see things that are happening in reality. Love is blind, as they say. What Nastya didn't see was that he manipulated her so he could live a free life, have everything paid, and then even make her do porn. So he can have some money on the side, I guess, and maybe there are also some fetishes going on. I don't know, whatever. The point I want to make is that Nastya was still a child. She was forced to work hard since she was 12. She used to date abusive guys and never had a proper family. You know, she's a broken person. It's pretty easy to trust someone who seems to care about you. But later in 2022, their relationship started to crumble a little bit. They started to argue way more because of the smallest things, and for Nastya it was just enough. So she texted her old friend, who we will call Kirill, whether she can stay at his place for a few nights. As turns out, Dima wasn't exactly who he said he was. Turns out he lied to her about his income, he wasn't making any money basically, and on top of that, he also admitted that he never was into cars. Since Nastya was already posting about her life online a lot, it wasn't really hard to find out what hobbies she was into, like cars, gaming, and anime. So he created a whole fake persona just to make a good impression, so they would date and he could live rent-free at her place. Now that's pretty heavy if you ask me. We can argue that he was maybe just really into Nastya, but relationship built on a lie isn't a relationship to begin with. It's a fiction. So Nastya and Kirill, who actually was making decent money, agreed to move to Korea and live there together. That meant that Nastya would break up with Dima, who she kinda didn't wanna be with anymore as he turned out to be a fraud and overall not a very good person. Since they were arguing a lot with Dima and she wasn't doing good mentally, Nastya wanted to move to the new place away from Dima for the time before she would eventually move to Korea.
Это не слот-шейминг, я против таких вещей. В общем, рассказываю. Мне было плохо все это время, уже писала, что у меня депрессия, бессонница и прочая хуйня. И я решила, типа, уехать от Димы и снять квартиру отдельно. И знаете, на чем мы сошлись в итоге? В общем, он попросил меня не уезжать и сказал, что он мне будет платить за то, что я существую вообще. В общем, там просто, чтобы я с ним жила, разговаривала и спала в одной кровати, выходит 150 тысяч рублей в месяц. Оплату, соответственно, он вперед уже внес. И там еще всякие дополнительные услуги будут.
Dima was kinda losing it seems like. He was desperate. Paying 150k rubles for a person to stay with you? That's pretty delusional, man. And let's not ignore the fact that she doesn't want to be with you anyway. That's pretty bizarre. What, are you gonna make her be with you? Dude. Sometime after, like a week or so, Kirill, the new guy, gets a message from Nastya. And it says that she doesn't want to leave Dima, that she wants to stay with him, she loves him, and she won't leave to Korea with Kirill. And she asks him to not message her ever again. Kirill was shocked. Obviously, it's quite a strange turn of events. As for past 2 or 3 months, Kirill and Nastya were almost sure they're gonna move to Korea, build their relationship together and live happily ever after, I guess, and all of a sudden she changed her mind, just like that. It's kind of fishy. Nastya's online presence was even weirder. She started re-uploading her old videos, her replies in the comment section felt really off, and out of nowhere she started selling her car collection, most of her stuff, and even asking for donations in the Instagram stories. And when her old friend, who we will call Masha, saw all this, she messaged her, but Nastya didn't reply to her. So then she messaged Dima, and under some pressure, he told her that, yeah, he killed her. He claimed she directly asked him to do it, that she wanted it, that she didn't want to live anymore, and it was an act of mercy. Masha was shocked. She immediately called the police, and when they arrived, they found Nastya's lifeless body in a bathtub.
Где мы? Что это за место? Куда мы прибыли?
Я жил в вот этой квартире. Здесь я убил. Мы находимся в спальне, в которой я убил. Лежал так, и в один момент я вот так чуть приподнялся и нанес в шею. Я перевернул и положил на колени. После вот я перевернул уже на живот, вот, и все. Через какое-то время она скончалась.
After they later sent it to the lab, they found out that it was laying there rotting for a week. While that rat Dima was chatting with her friends and family to make it seem like everything is good and to buy some time so you could successfully sell all the stuff, get some donations from her fans, and travel out of the country. Maybe, I guess. I think that was the plan. Eventually, Dmitry got 8 years in prison. It could have been 15, but he admitted to the whole thing and showed remorse, which maybe means that he was like not mentally there and he truly believed that he was helping Nastya. However, come on, dude. You cannot kill people even if they ask for it directly. It's just messed up. And on top of that, I don't really buy that she asked me to do it because in my opinion, Dima was just jealous of Kirill. If you remember, I said that Nastya sent him that message that everything is good and her and Dima are gonna stay together. Guess who sent it? Like, come on. Of course it was that spineless goblin Dima. They argued a lot. Dima was manipulative. Nastya wasn't mentally there overall. And when Nastya finally decided to leave for another guy, it seems like Dima just snapped. However, that's just my opinion, of course. That Masha friend I talked about before posted this on her story, where she says, "Please understand that it's more complicated than it seems. It wasn't a fight, it wasn't some act of anger. It happened because Nastya wanted it and he helped her out. She had a terrible and a tough life, and she didn't have enough strength to end it herself. And a lot of people left her when they realized she was asking them to help her out." Alright, look, if it really was an act of mercy, yada yada, why did he leave her in the apartment for a week? Like, he says he loved her, yet he left her rotting there for a week. That just makes no sense. Why did he try to sell all the stuff, ask for donation, and then he acts like nothing happened? It makes it seem like it was all planned. And if you add that love triangle with Kirill to the painting, it just doesn't look good. Regardless, guys, if anyone asks you to help him out, I would find a really good professional help. Like, there is always a way out, and I don't think you just should kill them, you know? Nastya's grave is now covered in flowers. Her old friends frequently come around and leave their various toys and such, and I would love to leave the story here. However, I can't, because her own funeral that was supposed to be private for only few selected people from her closest friends and family members, out of nowhere a goddamn television crew appeared with like a lot of people with cameras and such who didn't really respect the funeral. They were there just to record the whole thing and capitalize on it. And what's worse, they didn't give a damn about it at all. They were eating and laughing like 20 meters away from the grave. That's messed up. And turns out Nastya's own mother signed a contract with them for like 1,000 USD for them to be able to record it. Imagine your own mother basically destroying your childhood with her alcohol addiction and then eventually leaving you when you were young, and then randomly out of nowhere coming back claiming she changed just to do the same thing again. And this person eventually literally sells you to some television crew for just some $1,000. That's nuts. They recorded the whole thing, made an interview with her mom, who was putting on some fake tears like she cared about her daughter like ever at all. And then after that she went to some talk shows a couple of times to, I guess, milk it even more. That's, I don't know, the story is just sad. It shows how important mental health is, how blind can we be towards people we love, even though it's so obvious they're manipulating us, and how rotten people can be, selling their own child for a few bucks. That's just diabolical. I don't know what to say. Regardless, if anyone asks you to help them out, if you know what I mean, I would find a really good professional help. There's always a way out, and I don't think you should just kill them, you know? And that's it. If you like the story, leave a sub, like, and a comment. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about this, and see you in the next one.